The conference room smelled like fresh paint and lemon disinfectant. Sunlight streamed through the wide glass windows, falling across the polished wooden table where a stack of documents waited neatly in front of me. My name, was printed on every single page. After years of saving, overtime shifts, skipped vacations, and silent sacrifices, I was finally here. My first house. I adjusted the sleeves of my blazer and glanced at the empty chairs beside me. There were 4 of them. I had imagined they would be filled. Mom sitting proudly, maybe pretending not to cry. My younger brother scrolling on his phone but secretly impressed. Even my aunt, who never approved of anything I did, had said she might stop by if she wasn't busy. I checked my phone. 10:12 a.m. The signing had started at 10. No messages. No calls. They might be stuck in traffic, the real estate agent said gently. Her name was Mrs. Caldwell, a woman in her late 50s with kind eyes and a folder tucked under her arm. She had seen everything in her 25 years of selling homes: excited families, nervous newlyweds, investors celebrating deals. But I noticed the way her smile softened when she realized no one else was coming. "Yeah," I said, forcing a laugh. "Probably traffic." Deep down, I knew better. I had reminded Mom twice. Once the night before. Once again that morning. 10 a.m., don't forget. It means a lot to me. She had replied with a thumbs up emoji. Another 5 minutes passed. Then 10. The chairs remained painfully empty. Mrs. Caldwell cleared her throat. "We can begin whenever you're ready." Ready. I had always been ready alone. I picked up the pen. My hand trembled slightly as I signed the first document. The sound of paper shifting and pen scratching felt louder than it should have. Each signature felt heavy, not because of the mortgage, not because of the responsibility, but because the moment felt incomplete. I had pictured applause, hugs, maybe a family selfie in front of the sold sign. Instead, there was only silence. "Congratulations," Mrs. Caldwell said warmly as I signed the final page. She slid the keys across the table toward me. 3 small pieces of metal on a silver ring. They caught the sunlight, sparkling like they understood the weight of the moment. I stared at them. This was supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life. And yet, sitting there alone in that bright, echoing room, I felt something hollow open up inside my chest. I thanked Mrs. Caldwell, shook her hand, and walked out of the office holding my keys tightly. Outside, the world carried on as usual. Cars honking, people laughing, a couple arguing across the street. Life didn't pause just because no one showed up for mine. I stood beside my new house an hour later, staring at the front door. It was pale blue, just like I'd always wanted. I took a picture of it and sent it to the family group chat. "It's official. I got the house." The message delivered instantly. No one replied. The first night in the house felt unreal. The rooms echoed when I walked through them, every footstep bouncing off bare walls and hardwood floors. I didn't have much furniture yet, just a mattress on the floor, 2 folding chairs, and a small coffee table I'd assembled myself. The house smelled like fresh wood and new beginnings. It should have felt exciting. Instead, it felt quiet. Too quiet. I checked my phone again before bed. Still no replies in the family group chat. Not from Mom. Not from my brother. Not even from my aunt, who usually never missed an opportunity to comment, good or bad. I told myself they were busy. Maybe they were planning a surprise. Maybe they wanted to visit in person instead of replying with a boring congrats. I placed the phone face down and stared at the ceiling. The silence stretched. The next morning, I woke up to sunlight pouring through the bedroom window. For a moment, I forgot everything. Then I remembered. This was my house. I smiled. I made coffee in my small kitchen, leaning against the counter while looking out at the empty street. The neighborhood was peaceful. A few kids rode bicycles past the driveway. Across the road, an elderly man watered his lawn. Normal. Calm. I picked up my phone. Still nothing. Not even a reaction emoji. A strange feeling began creeping in, like something wasn't right. By afternoon, I texted Mom privately. "Hey, did you see the message? I got the house." The message showed delivered. No response. That wasn't like her. Even when she was upset with me, she replied. Sometimes coldly, sometimes briefly, but never silence. By the second day, the excitement had faded into unease. I tried calling her. The phone rang, and rang, and rang. No answer. I tried my brother. Straight to voicemail. I frowned. He never ignored calls unless he was asleep or in class. And it was 3 p.m. That night, I walked through each room again, as if the walls could answer the question forming in my mind. Why was everyone silent? I replayed our last conversation. There had been no argument, no tension, nothing unusual. The only thing different was the house. Mom had always said buying property was too risky. She preferred renting, said mortgages trap people. But she hadn't sounded angry when I told her I was signing, just distracted. On the third day, I woke up with a knot in my stomach. No calls, no texts, no social media activity from any of them. That's when the worry truly settled in. Silence for 3 days wasn't normal. I opened the family group chat again. My photo of the house still sat there, unread by 2 members. Unread. How? Mom checked her phone constantly. I dialed her number again. This time it didn't even ring. It went straight to voicemail. My heart started beating faster. I grabbed my keys and stepped outside, pacing near the driveway. The air felt heavier than before. Something was wrong. Very wrong. I was about to call a neighbor back in our old area to check on them when my phone suddenly vibrated in my hand. A message. From Mom. My breath caught as I opened it. It was short. Too short. Don't contact us for a while. It's better this way. I read the text 3 times before it felt real. Don't contact us for a while. It's better this way. No explanation. No love you. No reason. Just distance. My thumb hovered over the screen as if pressing hard enough would reveal the rest of the message. But there was nothing else. No follow-up. No typing bubble. I called her immediately. Straight to voicemail. I tried again. Voicemail. My chest tightened. This wasn't anger. This wasn't one of her dramatic silent treatments. This felt final. I typed back quickly. What does that mean? Are you okay? Delivered. No reply. I tried my brother again. Voicemail. I stared at the pale blue door of my new house, the same one I had admired with pride just days ago. Now it looked different. Colder. Like a door to somewhere I didn't belong yet. Better this way. Better for who? I walked back inside, locking the door behind me even though there was no one around. The quiet house suddenly felt too large. Every creak of settling would made me jump. Had I done something wrong? Was it the house? Mom had always been unpredictable about big changes. When I got my first promotion, she didn't congratulate me. She warned me not to get too proud. When I moved out of the apartment we shared, she said I was abandoning family. But cutting contact completely? That was new. I sat on the mattress in the middle of my empty bedroom and let the silence press in on me. What if something had happened? What if someone had forced her to send that message? The thought made my stomach drop. I opened social media and searched for her profile. Gone. Not deactivated. Gone from my friends list. I searched my brother's account. Gone too. My aunt. Gone. They had blocked me. My hands began to shake. This wasn't an accident. This was intentional. A slow realization started forming, heavy and painful. They had chosen this. Chosen distance. Chosen silence. Chosen to cut me out. But why now? Why after the house? I stood up abruptly and paced the living room. My footsteps echoed loudly in the emptiness. It didn't make sense. Unless a memory surfaced. 2 weeks before the signing, Mom had asked casually, "You're not putting anyone else's name on the property, right?" I had laughed. "No, Mom. It's my house." She had nodded, but her smile hadn't reached her eyes. Another memory followed, my aunt joking at dinner. once you buy a house, you better remember who helped raise you. At the time, I thought it was harmless teasing. Now, it didn't feel harmless at all. I grabbed my phone again and typed another message. If this is about the house, we can talk. I don't understand what's happening. Delivered. Read. The small scene notification appeared under my message. My heart pounded. She was there. She was reading. But no reply came. I stared at the screen for a full minute. 2 minutes. 5. Nothing. That was worse than being ignored. She had read it. And still chosen silence. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, the message replayed in my mind. It's better this way. By morning, I decided something. If they wouldn't explain it over text, I would go to them. And that decision would change everything. I didn't pack a bag. I didn't think I'd need one. I locked the pale blue door behind me early that morning, the keys still unfamiliar in my hand, and got into my car. The engine hummed softly, as if unaware that my entire world felt like it was shifting beneath me. The drive to Mom's house took 40 minutes. 40 minutes of overthinking. 40 minutes of replaying memories. 40 minutes of trying to prepare for every possible explanation. Anger, misunderstanding, illness, drama. Anything would have been better than silence. As I pulled into the old neighborhood, a strange mix of nostalgia and dread settled in my chest. The streets looked the same. The cracked sidewalk near the corner. The small grocery shop where Mom used to send me for milk. The same stray cat lounging near the lamppost. Normal. Too normal. I parked across the street from the house I had grown up in. The curtains were drawn, but the car was in the driveway. They were home. My heartbeat quickened as I stepped out and crossed the street. Each step felt heavier than the last. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again, louder. Inside, I heard movement. A faint shuffle. Then silence. I know you're home. I called out, trying to keep my voice steady. Nothing. I reached for the doorknob out of habit. It was locked. That's when I noticed something strange. The mailbox was overflowing. Not just a few letters. It was stuffed. Bills, advertisements, envelopes sticking out awkwardly like they hadn't been touched in days. Mom never ignored the mail. A flicker of unease ran through me. I knocked again, this time pounding. Mom, please open the door. A curtain shifted slightly upstairs. I saw it. Someone was watching. My breath caught. Mom. I called again, softer this time. The curtain fell back into place. A minute later, my phone buzzed. A text. From her. You shouldn't have come. I stared at the house, at the windows, at the door that had once always been open to me. What is going on? I typed back immediately. Why are you acting like this? The reply came quickly this time. We need space. You've made your choice. My choice? What choice? I felt frustration rising, mixing with hurt. I bought a house. I shouted toward the door. That's not choosing against you. There was no response from inside. Neighbors had begun peeking through their windows. I could feel their curiosity. Another message arrived. You embarrassed us. The words hit harder than I expected. Embarrassed them? How? My mind raced. I remembered something she once said years ago during an argument. Family decisions are never individual decisions. At the time, I thought she meant emotional support. Now, standing outside the locked door of my childhood home, I began to understand what she might have really meant. I looked at the driveway again. 2 cars. One of them wasn't familiar. I hadn't noticed it at first. A black sedan. Tinted windows. My stomach tightened. Who else was inside? I stepped back from the door slowly. Something about this didn't feel like simple anger. It felt controlled. Planned. And as I stood there staring at the house, unsure of my next move, I heard something that made my blood run cold. A faint voice from inside. Arguing. And it wasn't just Mom's. The arguing inside wasn't loud, but it was sharp, urgent whispers that carried through the thin walls. I pressed closer to the door, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it might burst through my ribs. I told you they'd come, a male voice muttered. I said I handled it. Mom hissed back. Handled it. My stomach dropped. I stepped back slowly, glancing toward the unfamiliar black sedan parked in the driveway. The tinted windows reflected my stunned expression back at me. I hadn't seen that car here before. None of Mom's friends drove something like that. Another whisper floated through the door. Just ignore it. It'll go away. It. They were talking about me like I wasn't even a person. I knocked again, once, firmly. The voices stopped instantly. Silence. Heavy. Thick. Intentional. Mom, I said, trying to steady my breathing. Open the door, please. We can talk. Nothing. My phone buzzed again. Leave. This isn't your concern anymore. Not my concern. It was my family. My home for 16 years. How could it not be my concern? I typed back quickly. Who is in there? The message showed as delivered. No reply. Instead, the curtain upstairs shifted again. I caught a clearer glimpse this time. My brother's face. Pale. Tense. He saw me. Our eyes locked for half a second before he disappeared from the window. He looked scared. Not angry. Not annoyed. Scared. That's when the situation stopped feeling like rejection and started feeling like something else entirely. Something wrong. I walked toward the driveway slowly, pretending to check my phone while I tried to get a better look at the black sedan. The license plate was slightly bent upward, as if someone had tried to obscure it. My chest tightened. I stepped back toward the sidewalk. Another message came. If you care about us, go home. That sentence didn't sound like my mother. It sounded rehearsed. Controlled. Like someone had told her exactly what to type. I swallowed hard and stepped farther away from the house, crossing back to my car, but I didn't get in. Instead, I stayed beside it, watching. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Finally, the front door opened slightly. My breath caught. But it wasn't Mom who stepped out. It was a man. Tall. Mid-40s, maybe. Clean-shaven. Wearing a dark jacket despite the warm weather. He scanned the street quickly before his eyes landed on me. Our gazes locked. His expression didn't show surprise. It showed calculation. He closed the door behind him carefully and walked toward the black sedan. Every instinct in my body screamed that this was not normal. He paused beside the car and looked at me again, long enough to make it clear he knew exactly who I was. Then he got inside and drove away. I stood frozen on the sidewalk, my mind racing. Who was he? Why was he inside my mother's house? And why did my brother look terrified? My phone buzzed once more. You shouldn't have seen that. My blood ran cold. Seen what? I looked back at the house. The curtains were completely closed now. The front door locked. And for the first time since buying my home, I didn't feel rejected. I felt afraid. Very afraid. I didn't go home right away. I sat in my car across the street, engine off, watching the house as if answers might appear in one of the darkened windows. My phone rested on the steering wheel. Mom's last message glowing on the screen. You shouldn't have seen that. Seen what? The man. The fear on my brother's face. The way she was speaking like someone else was writing for her. My thoughts tangled into worst-case scenarios. Debt collectors. Criminal trouble. Someone blackmailing them. The unfamiliar sedan. The bent license plate. After 20 minutes, the front door opened again. This time, Mom stepped out. Alone. She didn't see me at first. She walked quickly to the mailbox, pulling out the stuffed envelopes with shaking hands. Even from across the street, I could tell she wasn't calm. She looked thinner, tired. Her movements were tense, like she expected someone to grab her at any second. Mom, I called softly through my open window. She flinched. Her head snapped up, eyes scanning until they landed on me. For a split second, something broke across her face, relief. Then it vanished. She marched toward my car. Why are you still here? She demanded in a harsh whisper when she reached my window. Because something's wrong, I said. Who was that man? Her jaw tightened. You need to stop asking questions. That's not an answer. You buying that house changed things, she said quickly. You made a move without thinking about consequences. What consequences? My voice rose despite myself. It's my house. She glanced nervously toward the front door before leaning closer. Some decisions affect more than just you. Her words echoed from days ago. Mom, are you in trouble? I asked quietly. Her eyes flickered. For a second, just a second, I saw it. Fear. But she straightened immediately. No one is in trouble. Just go back to your new place and enjoy it. Not until you tell me who that was. Before she could answer, the front door opened again. My brother stepped out halfway, looking pale. Mom, he called anxiously. He's calling again. Mom's face drained of color. She turned back to me, her voice suddenly sharp. Leave. Now. Who is he? I pressed. She stepped back from the car. If you care about us, you'll stay out of it. Then she hurried back toward the house. The door closed. Locked. I sat there, heart hammering, staring at the silent building. This wasn't about embarrassment. This wasn't about pride. This was about something else. Something bigger. And then my phone rang. Not a text. A call. Unknown number. I hesitated before answering. Hello. Silence. Then a man's voice. Calm, controlled. You should listen to your mother. Every muscle in my body went rigid. Who is this? I demanded. A faint chuckle. You've done well for yourself. New house, stable income. It would be unfortunate if that changed. The line went dead. I stared at my phone, pulse racing in my ears. Threat. That was a threat. My house. My purchase. My independence. It had triggered something. And as I sat there, trying to process what had just happened, red and blue lights suddenly flashed in my rearview mirror. A police car had pulled up behind me, and the officer was stepping out. The flashing red and blue lights reflected off the windshield, washing everything in sharp, uneasy color. My pulse pounded in my ears as the police officer stepped out of the car and adjusted his hat. For a split second, panic surged through me. Had that man called them? Was I about to be accused of something? I lowered my window slowly and kept both hands visible on the steering wheel. The officer approached calmly. Good afternoon. Everything all right here? His tone wasn't aggressive, but it wasn't casual either. I'm fine, I said carefully. I was just checking on my family. He glanced toward the house across the street. We received a call about a suspicious vehicle parked here for over 30 minutes. My stomach dropped. Suspicious vehicle. They had called the police on me. That's my mom's house, I explained, pointing. I grew up there. The officer studied my face for a moment, then the house, then back at me. Do they know you're here? Yes, I said. I knocked. We talked. That wasn't entirely a lie. He nodded slowly, mind stepping out of the car. I did as he asked, trying to steady my breathing. Across the street, the curtain moved again. They were watching. The officer asked for my ID. I handed it over, noticing how steady his hands were compared to mine. He walked back to his cruiser to run it. I stood alone on the sidewalk. Humiliated. Confused. Angry. The front door across the street opened. Mom stepped out again, this time with a different expression. Composed, almost rehearsed. She crossed halfway toward us, stopping near the edge of the driveway. Officer, she called out politely. Is there a problem? He returned from his car. You reported a suspicious vehicle. Yes, she said smoothly. We didn't recognize it. We've been feeling uneasy lately. Uneasy. The word felt like a knife. That's my child, she added, gesturing toward me without looking directly at me. They've been having emotional difficulties. I stared at her. Emotional difficulties? That's not true, I said firmly. I came because... The officer held up a hand gently. Let's keep this calm. Mom sighed. as if burdened. They recently made some impulsive decisions. We just need space. Impulsive decisions. Buying my own home. The officer looked between us. Is there any restraining order or legal issue here? He asked. No, Mom replied quickly. No, I echoed. He nodded. Then this appears to be a family matter. As long as there's no threat, everyone's free to go about their day. Free. It didn't feel like freedom. He handed back my ID and gave me a measured look. I'd suggest resolving this privately. Then he returned to his cruiser and drove off. Silence settled again. Mom avoided my eyes. You need to stop pushing. Why did you call the police on me? I asked quietly. Her jaw tightened. Because you won't listen. To what? You won't explain anything. Her voice dropped to a whisper. You're making things worse. For who? She hesitated. And that hesitation told me everything. Someone inside that house didn't want me here. And she was protecting them. Mom, I said slowly, is someone threatening you? Her eyes flicked toward the door again. Fear. Real fear. But her voice remained steady. Go home, she said. Before you cause damage you can't undo. She turned and walked back inside without another word. The door shut firmly behind her. I stood there alone, the echo of the police siren still ringing faintly in my ears. They had tried to paint me unstable, to push me away, to isolate me. And suddenly, it wasn't just about family silence anymore. It felt like someone was trying to control the story, and I had just become part of it. I didn't drive home immediately. Instead, I parked 2 streets away and tried to think. The unknown caller's threat replayed in my mind. You've done well for yourself. It would be unfortunate if that changed. Then Mom calling the police. Calling me emotionally unstable. Pushing me away. Protecting someone. This wasn't random. It was coordinated. And it had started right after I bought the house. The thought hit me suddenly. What if this wasn't about family pride at all? What if it was about money? I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. Everything looked normal. No strange withdrawals. No suspicious charges. But something else nagged at me. 2 weeks before the signing, Mom had asked a lot of questions. Not emotional ones. Financial ones. How much did you put down? Did you tell the bank about your savings? Is the house fully in your name? At the time, I thought she was just curious. Now, it felt different. I searched my email for anything unusual. That's when I saw it. An email from the mortgage company dated 3 days ago. The same day she sent the message telling me not to contact them. Subject: Ownership Verification Inquiry. My pulse quickened as I opened it. The message stated that someone had contacted them claiming partial financial interest in my property. They had requested confirmation of co-ownership or beneficiary status. I felt cold. Someone had tried to claim my house. And because my name was the only one on the deed, the bank had rejected the request and flagged it as suspicious. My mind raced. Mom's question: you're not putting anyone else's name on the property, right? The black sedan. The controlled messages. The threat. I dialed the mortgage officer immediately. After verifying my identity, she confirmed it. Yes, someone contacted us claiming to be a family representative. They said they had invested in the property and were expecting documentation. I never authorized anyone, I said, my voice shaking. We assumed that, she replied calmly. That's why we notified you. Did they leave a name? There was a pause as she checked. Yes, a Mr. Khalid Rahman. The name meant nothing to me, but the tone of the unknown caller echoed in my head. Calm, calculating. After hanging up, I sat frozen in the driver's seat. Someone had tried to attach themselves to my house financially, and when that failed, they pressured my family. The pieces were starting to align. The fear in my brother's face. The rehearsed texts. The police call. Someone wanted control. Not just of my house. Of me. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. This time, I didn't hesitate. What do you want? I demanded. A short silence. Then the same voice. You've complicated matters. You tried to claim my property. A small chuckle. We prefer to call it securing family assets. Family assets. Rage flared inside me. That house is mine. For now, he said evenly. But legal disputes are expensive, stressful, public. Are you threatening me again? I'm offering you peace. Transfer partial rights to your mother. We resolve this quietly. My breath caught. So that was it. They had expected my name to be shared. Expected control. And when it wasn't, they tried to force it. You involved my family, I said coldly. They're very cooperative, he replied. Unlike you. The line went dead again. I sat there, staring at nothing. It wasn't just emotional manipulation. It was coercion. And now I understood why Mom had said buying the house changed things. Because I hadn't just bought a home. I had broken someone's plan. And they weren't done yet. I drove home in a fog of anger and clarity. The pale blue door of my house came into view, calm and ordinary against the afternoon sky. It looked harmless, peaceful, but now I understood something. This house wasn't just a milestone. It was leverage. I unlocked the door quickly and stepped inside, locking it behind me. For the first time since moving in, I checked every window, every latch, every corner. Not because I was paranoid, because someone had made it clear they were willing to push. I sat at the kitchen counter and opened my laptop. If this man, Khalid Rahman, thought I would panic and transfer ownership out of fear, he didn't know me. I searched his name. It didn't take long. There were complaints. Not official convictions, but complaints. Civil disputes. Real estate conflicts. Family investment misunderstandings. Legal threats that never quite turned into full cases. A pattern. He targeted families. Specifically families where property could be manipulated emotionally. My chest tightened. Mom hadn't created this situation. She'd been pulled into it. I grabbed my phone and texted my brother directly. I know about the property claim. I'm not angry. I just need the truth. The message showed delivered. Minutes passed. Then, typing. My breath caught. He loaned Mom money last year. My heart dropped. What loan? A pause. Then, after you moved out. She said it was temporary. He said he could help us invest. When you told her about the house, she told him. He thought it would solve everything. Solve everything. I felt sick. He expected to be added to the property, my brother continued. He said family assets should be shared. When the bank refused, he got angry. I leaned back in my chair, stunned. So now what? I typed. The reply came slower this time. He says if you don't cooperate, he'll sue claiming verbal agreement. Or expose Mom's debt publicly. She's scared. There it was. Control through fear. I ran a hand through my hair. Why didn't she tell me? I asked. A long pause. Then, because you finally escaped. The words hit harder than anything else. Escaped. Was that what I had done? Left them behind financially? Or just broken the cycle? Another message followed. He's here almost every day. Watching. Making sure we don't mess up. That explained the black sedan. The rehearsed texts. The police call. If I stayed around too long, it threatened his control. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I didn't answer this time. Instead, I took screenshots of every message, every call log, every email from the mortgage company. If he wanted to threaten legal action, he'd get it, but not the way he expected. I dialed a lawyer's office instead. As the phone rang, I looked around my empty living room. 3 days ago, I had felt abandoned. Now I understood. My family hadn't rejected me. They were trapped. And my house, the one I signed for a loan, might be the only thing strong enough to break whatever hold he thought he had. The lawyer answered. And for the first time since this started, I felt something shift. Not fear. Not confusion. Resolve. Because if he thought I would hand over my future quietly, he had chosen the wrong person. The lawyer's name was Daniel Harris. His voice was calm, steady, the opposite of the chaos that had consumed the past week. I explained everything: the ownership inquiry, the threats, the debt, the pressure on my family. He didn't interrupt. When I finished, he said one sentence that changed everything. "Good news, you hold all the power." I blinked. How? "Your name is the only one on the deed. There's no written agreement. A verbal claim without proof won't survive in court. If he files anything, we counter for harassment and attempted fraud." Harassment. Fraud. Hearing the situation framed legally instead of emotionally cleared the fog in my mind. What about my mom's debt? I asked. "That's separate," he said. "He can pursue her civilly, but he cannot force property transfer without documentation. And threatening you, that's actionable." Actionable. For the first time, I wasn't reacting. I was preparing. Daniel advised me to document every call, avoid direct confrontation, and, most importantly, not transfer a single thing out of fear. If he's controlling through intimidation, Daniel added, it only works if you comply. After the call ended, I sat in the quiet living room of my house. My house. The words felt stronger now. I texted my brother. I spoke to a lawyer. He can't take the house. He's bluffing. The reply came quickly. Are you sure? Yes, but Mom needs to stop cooperating. A long pause. Then, she's scared he'll expose the debt. I understood that fear. Pride. Reputation. The neighborhood. The whispers. But fear had already cost too much. That evening, I did something different. I drove back to the house, but this time, I didn't park across the street. I walked straight to the door and knocked firmly. The black sedan was there. The curtain shifted. The door opened. The man stood there before my mother could. Up close, his expression wasn't powerful. It was irritated. You again, he said coolly. Yes, I replied calmly. And I brought clarity. Mom stood behind him, tense. You cannot claim my property, I continued. There's no legal agreement. I've spoken to counsel. If you contact my lender again or threaten me, we file for harassment. His smile faded slightly. You're misunderstanding. No, I interrupted evenly. You miscalculated. Silence stretched between us. Power shifted in small, invisible ways. He glanced back at Mom, then at me. You're dividing your family over money, he said finally. No, I answered. You tried to. That hit. I saw it in his eyes. The realization that intimidation wasn't working anymore. After a moment, he stepped aside, grabbing his jacket. This isn't over, he muttered. But it didn't sound convincing. He walked past me, down the driveway, into the black sedan. This time, when he drove away, he didn't look back. The street felt lighter somehow. I stepped inside the house. Mom looked exhausted. My brother stood near the hallway, uncertain. Why didn't you tell me? I asked softly. Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't want to drag you into my mistakes. You already were, I said gently. But I'm not a child anymore. The silence that followed wasn't hostile. It was fragile. Healing doesn't happen in dramatic speeches. It happens in small shifts. I won't transfer anything, I said calmly. But I'll help you figure this out properly. With lawyers. Not fear. Mom nodded slowly. For the first time in a week, I saw relief instead of panic. Later that night, I drove back to my own house. I unlocked the pale blue door and stepped inside. It no longer felt hollow. It felt earned. No one had come to my signing. No one had clapped. But when everything collapsed, this house stood firm. And so did I. Some doors close quietly. Others, you choose. And this one was mine.